If the whole population of planet Earth adopted the lifestyle of an American, we would need 4 Earths to sustain the human population. That's not super sustainable. Colonization is about taking one language, culture, and religion and using it to supplant the others. It's about erasure, and it's used a lot of violence to do that. Of course, when you solve a lot of your problems with violence, it makes a lot of other problems. Why would we think that all of the problems created by the colonial way of solving problems could be solved by the colonial way of solving problems? And they can't. We need to learn from each other, and I do believe that, vested in a lot of indigenous bodies of knowledge and ways of knowing are some really different ways of looking at the world and some really different ways of solving problems. That doesn't mean that every decision a native's ever made has always been right on, because we're swimming in colonial waters too. But there's more there. And like in Ojibwe, we have a word, Anakobijigun, and we use the same word for my great-grandparent and for my great-grandchild. It spans 7 generations. And so we're told that like 7 generations ago, our people were having a tough time. Maybe they're dealing with treaties or allotment or whatever. And they were thinking, what are they going to need 7 generations from now when nobody knows my name? And they thought they're going to need some land, some clean water, our language, our culture, and each other. And against all odds, in spite of 500 pretty rough years, here we are and we still have those things. When I think 7 generations from now, when nobody remembers my name, no matter how many books I write, what will they need? And I think they're going to need the same things. If you take the long view, a 7 generations view, it becomes easier to make the decisions. So often we mortgage the well-being of our great-grandchildren for the next quarterly shareholder profit statement. We are humans. There's no way to be neutral living on planet Earth. But there are ways to reduce the negative impacts we make on planet Earth. And putting it all on the individual and paying no attention to the systems doesn't work. So I do think we need to learn from each other about a different approach, about how to take the long view. And to me, that is not cultural appropriation. We should all be learning from one another and sharing ideas with one another. You can't find a major musical tradition that isn't influenced by all kinds of people. I think the appropriation issue is really if you are taking someone else's culture or story and using it for your own financial gain betterment, why are you doing that? There should be a good reason if you're using someone else's story, and if you don't have a good reason, maybe an issue. Kind of a barometer for me would be if your experience is native-led, it's pretty safe. If the native person says, come to the powwow, go to the powwow. If they say, read my book, go ahead, read the book. If they say, buy my art, go ahead, you can buy the art. If they say, eat my food, go ahead, it's all good. If you're in the Boy Scouts, Order of the Arrow, and there are no native people within 100 miles, and you're putting on pretend war paint and a chicken feather and going through a pretend native ceremony, then I'd say you're on thinner ice. Native-led is fine. Native-inspired, thinner ice. In between, there are some gray areas, and they're hard to figure out sometimes. So there, I would talk to native folks and see where they're at, kind of take a temperature. Sonar is some sound waves going out and sound waves coming back so we can visualize things we won't really see the same way as someone else and make the best informed decision that you can. But I do certainly believe that Native people have something to share with the rest of the world, and we should all open up to that. And I do think it can help us make different and better decisions. I would say that about environmental things, but lots of other things too. It's a complex world. It's not always pretty. We got plenty of things that were handed to us, all the isms, but there's a way through it, and the only way through it is together.